Good morning, everyone. Today's topic for clinic is conjunctivitis. So, as we all know, conjunctivitis is inflammation of the conjunctiva, and when a patient comes to you having conjunctivitis, the main complaints will be redness and discharge. So, what are the causes of redness? What are the differential diagnosis? So, one, it can be conjunctivitis, it can be keratitis, it can be acute iridocyclitis or acute congestive glaucoma. So, these are the main causes of redness of the eye. Other causes leading to redness are dry eye, entropion, ectropion. So there is a big list. So these are the main causes. So what is the next complaint? It is discharge. So discharge from the eye can be watery, mucoid, mucopurulent. So discharge can help us differentiate between the type of conjunctivitis. So what are the types of discharge? It can be watery discharge, which is composed of a serous exudate and tears and occurs in acute viral or acute allergic conjunctivitis. Then mucoid discharge is typical of chronic allergic conjunctivitis and dry eye. Then mucopurulent discharge typically occurs in chlamydial or acute bacterial infection. Then moderately purulent discharge occurs in acute bacterial conjunctivitis. Then severe purulent discharge is suggestive of gonococcal infection. So these are the types of discharge. Now, other signs you can see in conjunctiva is formation of membranes. So, membranes can be pseudomembranes or true membranes. Pseudomembranes consist of coagulated exudate adherent to the inflamed conjunctival epithelium, and when it is peeled away, the underlying epithelium is left intact, while the true membrane involves the superficial layers of the conjunctival epithelium, so that when you attempt to remove, then it leads to tearing. The distinction between a true membrane and a pseudomembrane is rarely clinically helpful, and both can leave scarring following resolution. So the causes include severe adenoviral conjunctivitis, gonococcal, and some other bacterial conjunctivitis like streptococcal, corynebacterium dysthery, and so on. So, when you get a case of conjunctivitis, it can be so the types of conjunctivitis, it can be infective or allergic or cicatricial or toxic. So, infective may again it can be divided as bacterial conjunctivitis, chlamydial conjunctivitis, viral conjunctivitis, ophthalmia neonatorum, and etc. So, and in allergic conjunctivitis, it can be simple allergic conjunctivitis, vernal keratoconjunctivitis, atopic keratoconjunctivitis, giant papillary conjunctivitis, flectinular conjunctivitis, and so on. So, it is very important to clinically distinguish whether it is bacterial, viral, or allergic or chlamydial infection. So, looking at the signs, you can differentiate as the first is the congestion. In bacterial conjunctivitis, the congestion will be more marked. Then in viral, it will be moderate. Allergic conjunctivitis, it will be mild to moderate, and chlamydial, it will be moderate again. Chemosis will be seen in bacterial and allergic conjunctivitis. In viral and chlamydial, it may or may not be present. Then conjunctival hemorrhages may or may not be seen in bacterial and viral conjunctivitis. Now the types of discharge. Discharge in bacterial conjunctivitis is purulent or mucopurulent. Then in viral conjunctivitis it is watery. Allergic it can be ropey or watery, and chlamydial it is again mucopurulent. So these are the main signs by which you can differentiate in the various types of conjunctivitis. So these are a few signs of conjunctival inflammation. The first image shows conjunctival hyperemia. Second image shows petechial hemorrhages present over the conjunctiva. The third image shows chemosis, that is swelling of the conjunctiva. Then fourth image shows the presence of pseudomembrane, and the last image shows scarring of the conjunctiva. So these are a few clinical signs of conjunctival inflammation. Now we start with individual types. We'll see how the clinical picture of individual type of conjunctivitis is. Starting with acute bacterial conjunctivitis. So this is the clinical picture. The patient will usually complain of severe redness, that is fiery red eye. There will be swelling of the lids. Then also there will be presence of mucopurulent discharge rather, and there will be profuse mucopurulent discharge. So complaints of the patient, as we all know, can be foreign body or discomfort sensations. Then there's redness of the eye, mild photophobia can be present, mucopurulent discharge is present. Patient can also complain of colored halos in profuse mucopurulent discharge is present. And now the signs, we can see the discharge. Then conjunctival congestion will be present, which gives a fiery red appearance to the eye. And chemosis, that is swelling of the conjunctiva, will be present. Papillae, petechial hemorrhages will be present. Also there will be matting of the eyelashes due to presence of profuse discharge. So how will you treat the case? So treatment is usually topical antibiotics. We start with topical antibiotics to control the infection, and usually we have to start any antibiotic by doing its culture sensitivity, but we start with broad spectrum antibiotics like chloramphenicol, gentamicin, tobramycin. So next is we can do irrigation of the conjunctival sac with sterile warm saline. Then you can give the patient dark goggles to use to prevent photophobia, and bandages or padding of the eye should be avoided. It should not be done. Exposure to the air keeps the temperature of the conjunctiva low, which inhibits the bacterial growth. While after bandaging or padding the eye, the conjunctival sac is converted into an incubator and the infection can flare. So you should avoid bandaging of the eye. Also steroids should be avoided as it will lead to flare up of the disease. Anti-inflammatory and analgesic drugs can be given orally depending on the severity of the disease. So next we move on to viral conjunctivitis. So in this picture we can see the first image shows follicular conjunctivitis. There's presence of follicles over the conjunctiva. Then second image shows a formation of pseudomembrane. The third image shows residual scarring, and on the fourth there are subepithelial infiltrates present over the cornea. Last. So viral infections, again it can be due to adenovirus, then herpes simplex keratoconjunctivitis, herpes zoster conjunctivitis, molluscum contagiosum, and so on. So these are the clinical signs, and management is like the general measures are same like bacterial conjunctivitis, and you can start topical antiviral ointment, and also in some cases depending on the severity, if necessary, you have to start with combination of systemic and oral and topical antiviral regimens. So moving on to allergic conjunctivitis. Allergic conjunctivitis is due to allergy or hypersensitivity reaction, which may be immediate or delayed type. Then it can be simple allergic conjunctivitis, vernal keratoconjunctivitis, atopic keratoconjunctivitis, giant papillary, or flectinular keratoconjunctivitis. So in starting with vernal keratoconjunctivitis, here the patient will usually complain of again redness and watering of the eyes, and it is recurrent bilateral, and usually self-limiting, but some severe forms may require treatment. Then etiology is, it is a hypersensitivity reaction to some exogenous allergens such as grass pollens, and it can be seen mostly in the 5 to 15 years of age group and more in summer. So clinically, as I said, the patient will complain of burning and itching, which is usually intolerable and accentuated when patient comes in warm, humid atmosphere. the itching is more marked in the palpebral form of the disease. So there are vernal keratoconjunctivitis can be palpebral form, bulbar form, or mixed form. So in the palpebral form, as we see in this diagram, there is presence of papillae. So these are the images showing the severity of the papillae associated with infiltrates, and the E image shows in micropapillae with mucus present, and the last image shows us the presence of mucus discharge in the pharynxes. So this is how the palpebral form of the disease is seen, and the papillae are arranged in a cobblestone or a pavement stone pattern. So in severe cases, the papillae may there may be hypertrophy to produce a cauliflower-like giant papillae. So in the image D, we can see giant papillae. So this is how it appears. In the bulbar form of the disease, it is characterized by dusky red triangular congestion of bulbar conjunctiva in the palpebral area, and gelatinous thickened accumulation of the tissue around the limbus. Presence of discrete whitish raised dots along the limbus, that are the Trantas spots. So here you can see limbal papillae present, and in the B image you can see these are the Horner Trantas dots, as I said. These are the in the third image there are extensive papillae, and which coalesce in the severe stages. So image D is the severe form of the bulbar form of vernal keratoconjunctivitis. Also there can be a mixed form. So in vernal keratoconjunctivitis, the cornea is also affected. So the corneal lesions can be as showed in first figure. It can be superior punctate erosions, and which are and mucus stained with rose bengal dye. Then the next three images will show the progression of a macro erosion over the cornea and its gradual resolution over months on treatment. So this is a clinical picture of vernal keratoconjunctivitis, showing both the palpebral and the bulbar form. So treatment, how will you treat? Local therapy involves topical steroids. We usually use milder steroids, and also we can use mast cell stabilizer or topical antihistaminics. Also systemic therapy involves oral antihistaminics or oral steroids. The treatment usually depends on the severity and clinical correlation. So treatment of large papillae, there are options like supratarsal injection of long-acting steroids, cryo application, or surgical excision for extraordinary large papillae. Then general measures are same as I told for bacterial, that is use of dark goggles, then cold compression and ice packs, and change of place from hot to cold areas. And nevertheless, for allergic you have to do desensitization can also be done. And treatment of vernal keratopathy when the cornea is involved, if there is superficial like punctate epithelial keratitis, then installation of steroid should be less. Then large vernal plaques if they are present, then surgical excision by superficial keratectomy can be done. And if there is presence of severe shield ulcers, as we can see in this image, these are the presence of severe shield ulcer. So in such cases, debridement, superficial keratectomy, excimer laser, or therapeutic keratectomy, as well as amniotic membrane transplantation can be done to enhance the reepithelialization. So this is how the shield ulcer looks like. So first image, there is presence of early plaque, then the second plaque and shield ulcer, and D image D shows a pseudogerontoxin. So what is a pseudogerontoxin? Pseudogerontoxin can develop in recurrent limbal disease It is characterized by a paralimbal band of superficial scarring resembling Arcus senilis, which we see in old age people, and it is adjacent to a previously inflamed segment of the limbus. So this was the clinical picture of various types of conjunctivitis, and you have to read the theory of all of these types. Also, it will be covered in the theory classes. And this is a questionnaire. These are the questions which you should be knowing. Thank you.